This is HBR News number 417. Media tries to frame Sound of Freedom donor. This isn't Anita's final form, where we discuss the news of the week and give it the Badger treatment. Hello everybody and welcome to Honey Badger Radio. My name is Brian, and I'm joined by Mike. Mike J is not here yet. Hannah Wallen is not going to be, she's taking a break because she's a little overworked and stretched too thinly. So she probably won't be back on the news show until September, but in the meantime, you'll have the rest of us. And I don't know where Mike J is. Hopefully he'll show up later, but we can't wait any longer. So anyway, with that said,
and I'm here. Lauren is also here, but she is asleep on account of being overworked.
Oh, okay.
You can see the theme.
We're all a little stretched thinly here. So, but it's okay. The show must go on, and we will go on with the show. So if you guys would mind sticking around, it's going to be a good time, and we're going to be discussing the news topics of the week. So this week, we're going to be talking about a funder for the crowdfunded film Sound of Freedom, Fabian Marta, who was arrested for child kidnapping, according to the media. And there's a little bit more to the story than that, though. Anita Sarkeesian shuts down her old channel Feminist Frequency, or her, I guess it was a non-profit or something. And what does that mean? NASA loses contact with its Voyager 2 probe due to a mishap, and which we will also go into, and more. So stick around, it's going to be a good time. And be sure to join us afterwards for the patron-only show. So you guys might have heard about a little, I don't have my websites. Hold on a second. You guys may have heard of a little film called Barbie. And we, apparently it made $1 billion in the box office. Because of course it did. And, there are articles coming out now that are saying what people are mad, but they don't get what the movie is really trying to say. And so we have this article from Screen Rant: the Barbie movie's biggest backlash misses what the film was really trying to say, guys. So if you're too dumb to see that it's actually not what you think it is, even though we don't know what you think it is, then clearly you need to read this article. Read this article. That will make it all better.
It's annoying when this happens to a movie that you wouldn't think it would happen to. Like, people have genuinely different interpretations, much like the tale of Scroty Mookabooga balls, or the peep that ate its own poop. That sort of which I believe was an obvious parody of Catcher in the Rye. When people have such different interpretations of a movie, where one faction of people can be like, this is right wing, and the other faction is like, this is left wing. And they're having a genuine argument about over it. I mean, you have to ask yourself, either this is a more nuanced movie than we think it is, or people are even stupider than we thought they were.
We'll see what Screen Rant has to say, so we'll look at it in the patron show. I don't think how it's interpreted is as important as what the takeaway is for the average viewer. And I think the takeaway, despite everything, is, in my opinion, absolutely devastating. But we will see. I will go through. I don't know what argument they're going to make. So I haven't looked at it or anything. But we will see in the patron show and respond, hopefully, accordingly. And also, if you want to make sure that we don't get yeeted from the internet, or if you find that we have been and you want to be able to continue to follow us, please go to badgerfeed.com. That's badgerfeed.com. And also follow us on Rumble. We are HB Radio on Rumble. I do see that Rumble chat is there. So shout out to the Rumble gang. And then, yeah, so I see Betty Adams and Oiken Wowie, whose name I can never get. And I never will. Sorry, but that's just the way it is. Follow us on Rumble, follow us on Twitch. It's also HB Radio there. And follow the gaming channel, which is Honey Badger Arcade on YouTube. We're just putting out content. So, come check it out whenever you get a chance. Appreciate the support. Please subscribe if you haven't already and hit the like button. now with all that out of the way, and I know I did this in a really roundabout way, let's get into today's story. So, normally Mike J helps do the write-ups where he kind of summarizes a story, but I haven't heard from him yet, and I hope that he's okay. So if anybody has any way of reaching him, that would be great. But the first story we have to talk about, and I wasn't going to talk about this one originally until I learned some of the interesting details about it. So, according to most of the media, Fabian Marta, who is a donor, like a funder for the movie The Sound of Freedom. So if you guys don't already know, Sound of Freedom is a film about sex trafficking, children, and it was crowdfunded by Angel Studios because Disney sat on it, and I think there was like another big studio that sat on it, and they never ended up releasing it, and so they did release it by crowdfunding for it and everything. So a lot of people donated. Average donation about $500. This guy donated about $500. So he was an average level donator, but the way that they're framing it makes it sound, like he's just like some Monopoly man throwing money at stuff, whatever. But anyway, so here's what happened, or here's the story according to Newsweek. This is like the popular narrative, okay? Fabian Marta, one of thousands of patrons of the crowdfunded anti-child trafficking film Sound of Freedom, was arrested and charged with accessory to child kidnapping, according to a Missouri court filing. The Class A felony carries a penalty of 10 to 30 years in prison or life imprisonment. That sounds really serious, right? Since removed Facebook posts appear to show the same person revealing their pride in funding the film, Marta's name appears in the movie's credits along the investors who helped bring Sound of Freedom to theaters. Sound of Freedom dramatizes the story of anti-child sex trafficking organization Operation Underground Railroad and its founder Tim Ballard, who was played in the film by Jim Caviezel. And this is a picture of Fabian Marta. Kind of reminds me of sort of like the do you remember the GQ photos of Paul Elam and Sage Gerard? I don't know if you guys have got to be old heads to remember that, but yeah. Oh
yeah, they were professionally grotesque.
Yeah,
like they weren't even hiding it. It was like fucking CG from the early '90s.
Yeah,
you couldn't even pretend it wasn't doctored, as would get fact checked by today's general media.
Yeah. All right, so. St. Louis Metropolitan Police confirmed to Newsweek that Marta, 51, from Chesterfield, Missouri, was charged on July 23rd following an incident reported on July 21st. Newsweek approached Marta via Facebook direct message for comment on Friday. Police also provided a booking photo of Marta, which appears to show the same person pictured on a Facebook account of the same name. Screenshots of since-removed posts from multiple online sources seen by Newsweek, but which could not be independently verified, show Marta speaking about his involvement with the film. So, that's the general gist of the way it's reported, and what you're supposed to take away from this is that despite the movie being about child sex trafficking, there is a person who funded the movie that apparently is in favor of child sex trafficking because he was charged with accessory to a crime, Class A felony, right? Accessory to child kidnapping. And the truth is a bit different. So this is from Deadline. It says here, so again, take this with a grain of salt because it's Deadline, but Sound of Freedom's Angel Studios responded to reports of PIC crowdfunders' arrest on child kidnapping. Accused attorney says charges are unfounded. There was a lot of noise surrounding the red state beloved $136 million grossing summer surprise hit Sound of Freedom this morning, with Newsweek reporting that one of the PIC's 6,678 crowdfunders, one out of 6,678, what percentage is that? If anybody can do the math on that really quick, was arrested for child kidnapping by the St. Louis Metropolitan Police. Now, just to be clear, we're talking about one person who contributed an unidentified amount, so we don't really know how much they gave, of money to the $5 million P&A crowdfunding campaign put together by Angel Studios. The person charged 51-year-old Fabian Marta at Chesterfield, Missouri on July 23rd was not a financier of the actual feature production. they have to say that because it's the truth. Deadline confirmed the arrest with the St. Louis Metropolitan Police per case number, and then they give it the case number. So, what is the response? Angel Studios says they have no knowledge of the background of its crowdfunders. Well, of course not, because we get crowdfunded. We don't know the history of the people who contribute to us, right? Just like IBM or any other publicly traded company doesn't have any idea of who their minor shareholders are. The Newsweek article reports that Marta took to Facebook to post their excitement about crowdfunding Sound of Freedom, posts which have since been removed. Neil Harmon, CEO of Angel Studios, said in a statement, quote, Angel Studios adhere to the requirements of federal and state laws and regulations in allowing 6,678 people to invest an average of $500 each. So this is just them averaging it out, okay, into the launch of Sound of Freedom. Just as anyone can invest in the stock market, everyone who meets the legal criteria can invest in Angel Studios projects. One of the perks of investing was the ability to be listed in the credits. Those credits, is as seen in the social media post below, reveals Fabian Marta and family as one of several contributors to the Jim Caviezel trailer. So Deadline reached out to, let me just say, they talk about the thanks they're giving. Deadline reached out to the attorney of Marta, Scott Rosenblum of Rosenblum, Schwartz and Fry in St. Louis, who calls the criminal charges against his client unfounded. Quote, I don't understand how they're charging him with this, Rosenblum told Deadline. He has nothing to do with kidnapping anyone. Marta is a landlord to a woman who was involved in a custody dispute with her aunt. Marta was allegedly providing living arrangements to said woman and her child, the former who was involved in rehabbing the rental property. So now that you look at the story, the man did not, like, the way that the media, and it's not just Newsweek, okay, it's basically all of the mainstream media, they clamored at the opportunity to spin or tell this story of the hypocrisy of a guy that funded a film about sex trafficking children, himself kidnapping children, or at least being an accessory. Being an accessory to kidnapping children. Yeah, and so go ahead, Mike.
You seem to be in the middle of a thing. Carry on.
Yeah, I was just this is just more evidence that what this film has to say seems to be really important, because and the media, the mainstream, whatever you want to call it, right? They are doing everything in their power to stop this film from having any credibility. That means if they can find one guy and they can find that he did something that could discredit the whole thing, basically putting it in a black category, like they did when they said, oh, this is, what do they say, for QAnon conspiracy theorists, or this is for dads with brain worms, or like all these things, right? What are the names they're dropping? QAnon, you're supposed to what? Turn off your brain. Oh, I don't want to watch that, right? This is what they say, the red state loving movie, like, because they're just, the assumption is people who live in red states will want to watch this because they tend to be QAnon or MAGA and January 6th. They're just going to throw these things at you, and you're supposed to be like, oh my God, that's evil. I'm not going to watch this. That's the whole reason they're doing it. And so, like, they have to, and again, this guy is charged, but not convicted. So how do you charge someone? Well, you basically call the cops on them, and then the cops say, well, we got to take you, we got to get your information or whatever. But that doesn't mean you did anything. It just means you're charged with something. It's like being indicted. We got him this time, boys. We indicted him 3 times. That doesn't mean anything. It just means everybody agreed that person should go to jail. Or whatever, lose their job, right? So, all this, and I gotta tell you, I want to tell you a little bit. Did I tell you, Mike, that I tried to go watch Sound of Freedom over the weekend?
You tried to? What? Did some weird shit happen in the movie theater? So something happened in the movie theater. So, like, on Sunday... How weird! I know, it's super weird, right? But it totally happened. I can show you guys the vouchers. So, Lindsay and I told her, we have a neighbor that's willing to watch JoJo for us, so we can go out, we can do things. We didn't have anybody to help us when we first came here, and we've been living here, this is like our 3rd year, I think, in Virginia. So, it's kind of tough because we don't know anybody. We kind of like keep to ourselves, and sometimes you feel like pretty like unsocialized.
especially after the COVID thing and all of that. So we got a neighbor that will watch the dog for us, a really nice lady. So we left Jojo with her, and I said, we're going to go to the movies. And we went to the local theater, and I bought tickets for a matinee at like 1:20 or something. We get in. I haven't been to a theater since I saw Joker. That's how long it's been. Okay, so I'm super excited because I used to go to the theater all the time. Like me and my boys, we used to go every weekend, all the time. And we're sitting there, the movie starts, it's very well made, like it looks like a professionally made movie. Angel Studios is going places, I promise you. And even though they're obviously it's sort of like a Christian company, it's in the name, but the movies are not like those cringy, like religious movies that you see. They look like really good, well-made films that are not preachy. They don't quote scripture. They don't do any of that. And I so far they've done good stuff. I mean, it's a good studio. I hope that they go places. And anyway, we're sitting there and we're watching this movie, and like 20 minutes into the movie, when the second act is about to start, the second act starting, the alarm goes off. And the lights, there's sirens and loud noises, and they had to stop the film, and everyone had to leave. Now, they had to empty the whole theater, and so people were there to watch Barbie and Ninja Turtles and Mission Impossible and other stuff, right? Oppenheimer. But we all had to leave, and I looked at Lindsay, and she's like, "Oh, we don't want to like jump to any conclusions." And I'm like, "Come on! Like, what are the odds? You guys know that this was going on all over the internet, right? Like, people were posting. I mean, sure, there is always that odd chance, but in all the years I've been going to the movie theater, that's never happened to me. I've never had an alarm go off. But to be fair, when we were leaving, there was a massive thunderstorm outside, and being that this is a smaller city, I noticed that we have power outages a lot more frequent than I did in Chicago. So it certainly could be that. I'm not gonna necessarily claim that there's some foul play, but it is a really weird coincidence. Yeah, that totally happened. So we have vouchers. I'll try again maybe next weekend. We'll see if it works out. If it happens again, though, I'm calling bullshit. But yeah. I was gonna say that, Mike. So I don't know if you wanted to go ahead and say your thing, because I wanted to say more, but I can wait.
Yeah, I think regarding the tracking down of this man, like he's a fugitive. I think we can mark this on our calendar, ladies and gentlemen. The Me Too movement, the Me Too phenomenon, the Me Too hashtag, whatever, lasted no more than 6 years. Evidently, any lesson that we might have learned about Hollywood and its depraved nature has now been chemically flushed down the memory hole, and there's nothing left but a few historians scratching their heads going, what even was that? my dudes, do you have any idea how many movies have been funded entirely or almost entirely by Harvey Weinstein?
Mm-hmm.
Which is to say nothing of all the other presumably similar scumbags who were not thrown under the bus. But just to take the Fall Guy as an example, Gangs of New York, Shakespeare in Love, Good Will Hunting, Sin City, True Romance, The English Patient. Lot of Oscars
Matrix
going on so far, by the way. Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, Kill Bill 1 and 2. You'll be seeing the pattern there. Scream, Scary Movie, Spy Kids, all sorts of things. And that's to say nothing of the Weinstein Company who took over after him. After all, that might descend into indirect guilt by association, and that's what I'll be going to address quite shortly. Those films were principally or entirely funded by Harvey Weinstein himself, the poster boy for institutional sexual exploitation. Are any of those films getting boycotted, let alone getting attempted cancellation via some desperate scrambling media hit piece? No, they never have. The subject of the movie is all that matters, as well as should. So when it comes to Sound of Freedom, they found a funder. They found a backer. That means one person out of thousands of voluntary donors who had no influence over the movie. And it turns out he rented a property to an alleged criminal. And that's the worst they could find.
Yep.
These ghouls, these vultures in the legacy media, have gathered their research teams around the task of investigating every individual involved in funding Sound of Freedom. And they scour every inch of their social security profile, looking for a juicy scrap of a scandal. And in what may be thousands of people, the worst thing they could find was a guy who rented property to an alleged criminal. Again, Harvey Weinstein,
Yeah.
the prime suspect in a global moral panic and witch hunt. Dozens of movies funded by him. I sleep.
Roman Polanski, too.
Yeah, but thousands of random people who paid $1 or more to produce Sound of Freedom, and you dog swipe the area in a 20 square mile radius, looking for a nickel that might have been tossed in their direction by anything resembling a criminal. And the worst you can find is someone who is an accidental accessory to an alleged crime. It's like when you investigate Trump a million times and you can't find jack shit he's actually done wrong. All you're doing is proving just how squeaky clean he is. But you run with it anyway. You print it anyway. Because enough of your soft-headed NPC audience really will gladly uninstall the previous thing chip and install the current thing chip in record time, every time. It's Moore's Law at work, folks, in the human psyche. By 2025, the average boomer will have the long-term memory of a slightly retarded goldfish. The TV will spend a day telling them the sky is green, and they will believe it for a day. And then they will forever deny remembering that one time the TV convinced them that the sky is green for a day. Or that you can prevent a common cold with a serum that does not prevent the common cold. I'm just sick of it, folks. I'm just fucking sick of it. And no one's even trying anymore, so neither am I. This is some bullshit, and you can piss it out your ass. That's all I have to say.
All right, I got. Mike J did finally get back to us. I guess his internet connection in Arizona is not good, so he sent me the write-ups. I asked him if he can jump in here, so hopefully he will pop in. But I'll read his write-up in the meantime, just because we don't want to make. So I might have to like rehash some old ground, but you guys get like what's happening here. So, if you were to Google the movie Sound of Freedom, there is only one story you will see the news discussing. You will likely be met with the booking photo of a disheveled-looking, balding man in a blue-gray t-shirt. That's the one that's pictured here. That man is 51-year-old Fabian Marta, and he has been charged by the St. Louis Metro Police for accessory to child kidnapping. This is where most of the useful information ends with these articles. They make note that Marta was also one of several thousands, like over 6,000 people, of people that donated to the funding for the movie Sound of Freedom, which some outlets going as far as to call him a financier. That sounds really fancy and elite. Despite having only donated somewhere between $100 and $500. Certain publications have even give the very second in the film where his name can be seen in the end credits in an ocean of other names, as if that adds anything to the subject. These articles also drone on and on about how the movie is a QAnon, conspiracy theorist, right-wing fantasy, and that most child trafficking doesn't happen as shown in the film, as if to imply it isn't something to concern yourself with. But none of them seem to be interested in the context behind or the nature of Marta's charges. In reality, or the reality of it, is that Marta is a landlord who rented a room to a woman and a child involved in a custody dispute with the woman's aunt. After being arrested, Marta pled not guilty to the charge of accessory to child kidnapping and is currently out on a $15,000 bond. Marta's lawyer, Scott Rosenblum, said in a statement regarding the situation, quote, "The charges are unfounded. Mr. Marta had nothing to do with custodial kidnapping. He was essentially a landlord." Despite the media greatly wanting to tie this case to the movie, almost out of a manufactured sense of irony or hypocrisy, there is simply no link, only sad, pathetic journalists angry about an anti-child trafficking movie. And, I think it's also really interesting to point out that the actual like dispute is between two women, a woman who has the child and the woman's aunt who wants custody of the child, but the person that we're actually mudslinging at is a man, who and I know why, because it's a man, so we're just gonna have less sympathy, and they got this picture and they make it as unflattering as possible so that some person with god-awful instincts goes, oh, he looks like a child kidnapper. I mean, and of course that means, oh, now I don't want to watch the movie that supposedly makes the outrageous claim that there are children being trafficked, and because one of the guys is accused of trafficking children, but that's totally not happening, guys. Don't be concerned. I have like as an aside, I think the media is so upset about the fact that this film exists, and the fact that a film, because I think what it comes down to is there's a film that exists and it's in the public eye and it's not like isolated to some corner of YouTube or Rumble or Cozy or whatever, that's talking about an issue that does not have the oversight of people in the entertainment industry, whether it's Hollywood or the BBC or whatever. The fact that it's happening without their oversight drives them insane, because they don't get to control what the story is or elements of it. And I hadn't gotten to the end of this yet. Like I said, I tried to watch it, got interrupted, but it looks like the main antagonist, at least one of them, is a woman of color. So that could be a problem, because it does, again, because of the overly simplistic way that these people see the world, this really ridiculous, overly simplistic way that they're not going to go with it. I mean, God. Anyway, so, but here's my really conspiratorial take, okay? And take it with a grain of salt. It's just me speculating, but I think I may have said this on a show before. When Sound of Freedom came out on July 4th, the media was in a absolute tizzy. Like, they were going crazy. And the thing is, if they hadn't gone crazy, it probably wouldn't have made that much money. Like, honestly, like, Peterson brought Tim Ballard, the person the film's experiences are based on, and Jim Caviezel on his show to talk to him. And Peterson's got a significant amount of reach, but I think that the reaction from the media probably prompted more people to take interest. Oh, you guys don't like this? Okay, well, I kind of want to see what this is about. But then something interesting happened. After the first week of this film, suddenly there was a new meme all over the internet. The Barbieheimer meme, right? Oh, are you going to watch Barbie or Oppenheimer this weekend? It seemed to me extremely phony, like absolutely astroturfed. Meme comes out of nowhere, because we know that these marketing people, they know how to use memes, right? And they already use marketing to lie about the contents of the Barbie film to make a big opening weekend. So I think that the Barbieheimer meme is not organic. I think it's something that was manufactured by the entertainment industry or people in the journal. I know that these are different studios and they have every reason to compete with each other, whatever, but I think that this is completely constructed so that people would stop talking about Sound of Freedom, because as soon as the Barbieheimer meme came out, everybody was involved. They were doing funny trailers and images and all these other things, and then the movies came out, and all of a sudden we've moved on to something else, right? Now everybody's talking about April O'Neil or whatever. So I think it served its purpose. It was intended to distract, and it worked. People just and now, women are just sharing the fucking speech at the end of Barbie, and nobody's talking about Oppenheimer because it's like 3 hours long and nobody's got time for that shit. So I think that's what I think. That's, you guys don't have to agree with me. You can say I'm crazy in the comments, whatever, but that's what I think. I think that was completely inorganic, and people just ran with it. And when it comes to getting a meme started, you just need to get like a couple of viral posts, and then the people will just take it and run with it because they think it's funny, and now you've got something that takes on a life of its own. So those are my thoughts about that. You have anything else you want to add, Mike?
That whole thing I saw was bullshit.
Is Lauren still sleeping?
Yes.
Okay. If she wakes up and wants to say some stuff, she can. But anyway, yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead. Hello?
Yes, that's understood. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I just wanted to. Okay. So, all right. So anyway, let us know what you guys think about this in the comments. What do you think? And I mean, let's look at it from, because I know that like some people, you know, they don't think that this is relevant, or there's like atheists in the chat or whatever. Don't look at it that way. Look at it as, why is the media trying to hide this? Why are they so opposed to this? Why are they pulling so much out of their ass to like make this film irrelevant? Are you a father of children or a mother of children? What do you think about that, right? Is that disturbing? What do you think about my experience when the theater had an emergency like 20 minutes in, and everybody had to wait for the ambulances to come, and then they just gave out vouchers, and I have them, so I'm going to try going back. What do you think about that? Is that strange to you? Because it's strange to me. Let us know in the comments. Okay, I got a bunch of super chows, so I'm going to read through those really quick. So thank you for that. All right, so Meredith G gives us $5 and says, HBR News 417, Sound of Freedom was made by Fox. When Disney bought Fox, they shelved the project along with others. The producers spent years trying to find a distributor, while the movie cost $14.5 million to make. Angel Studios crowdfund about $5 million to buy the distribution rights. Yeah, because they wanted the movie to get out there. I knew that. I think Fox and Disney, they were holding on to it, or they were shelving it, but I wasn't sure who specifically was like involved with bringing it, you know, making it happen, because the film was done for like 7 years or something. So thank you, Meredith, for that.
It kind of makes you wonder how many such movies have been successfully shelved forever. Like, yes, somebody made them, but someone else in Hollywood was like, "Nah, you ain't doing that. That's going on the shelf forever. Whoops, it got burned. Oh well." Hey.
Yeah. Yep.
How many unsuccessful Sound of Freedoms have been shelved and burned before we finally got actually happened?
Yep. And how much other like art, like animations and all kinds of other good stuff that we're not seeing because it got shelved, and like the excuse or reason is, oh, you know, we're not ready for this yet, or whatever it is, right? Because I don't see any reason why Fox would shelve it unless they were like, oh no, we can't put that out there, right? So anyway, thank you. And the movie's like, look, it's not explicit. It's PG-13. There's very little, like, even foul language. I didn't get very far, so I don't know, like, you know, how bad it gets. But I don't even think there's anything like edgy. I mean, Seven was a big hit. I think it's a great movie, but it's certainly not for, you know, it's not a PG-13 film by any stretch. So. Okay, so that was Meredith G. Thank you so much for that. Next we got He's John Cena by Richard Beer.
And his name is John Cena!
Okay, and he gives us $5 and says, this is why anonymity is so important for donors in any cause, or to any cause. Imagine if the crowdfunders for Cassie J's The Red Pill were gone after in this way. Were those donors anonymous? I think they were. And you're right. I mean, they would have done anything to expose those people. Anything. So thank you, Richard. Let me continue. And punishing a landlord for the actions of a tenant might be a precursor to fair housing law violations, as landlords aren't allowed to even ask about legal quagmires that any tenant might be involved in. I don't know what the laws of Missouri are, but that's a good point. Thank you, Richard. Zarinx gives us $10, and here you get a giggle, and says the same way they're trying to smear the Sound of Freedom is the same way people tried to smear the Red Pill. So it's the same argument. We say these people are bad and they're associated with this project. Don't patronize it. In this case, it's despicable that these people have the wherewithal and ability to encourage how people view the movie and anything connected to it. What's worse is that their efforts have worked in the past, so they make the attempt again to deflect away from the film and taint it with potential tangential fringe figures around it. They're pure evil. Absolutely. Pure evil. Like, I would have been hesitant to say the word evil years ago, but I have no problem saying it now. That is evil. And I heard some of the horror stories I heard from Tim Ballard. Like, he didn't go into detail, but the stuff that he said that actually happened that he had to see when he was doing his job. I'm sorry. I have another really, really messed up conspiracy theory, Mike. Do you want to hear my really messed up conspiracy theory about child trafficking?
I mean, I do, but I don't think YouTube does.
well, I can do it clean. I can do it clean. But I do have. I thought about this after we had left the Sound of Freedom and we were home and we were sort of discussing, like what had happened and like our theories about stuff and the whole child sex trafficking thing. Okay. And I watched Blair White. Blair White did a video on it, and she said that she was so distraught that she couldn't finish the movie. She had to walk out about halfway through. I thought it was because something offended her, but it's not. She was actually like saying that this is like really heavy stuff, right? And I was thinking about the Tim Ballard thing, and I was thinking, what if? Okay, let me set up the pretext. Okay, a couple years ago, we did a story on a camp I think it was in Nevada, where a group of Muslims were breeding children to be child soldiers. Do you remember that, Mike? Do you remember when we covered that?
No.
Oh yeah.
Sounds like the kind of thing I would erase from my memory.
I know, it's really messed up, but it's true. Like there was like 4 women or something, and then there were a couple of men. One of the men was like, he was tasked with going to get supplies like food and stuff and bringing it back, and it was like this encampment they made, and they were breeding children for terrorism, training them to be terrorists. Okay, I don't know if you guys remember that. And I thought about that and I said, wow, like, and of course, like the reason why we brought it up was because of women's involvement in it, because they were the ones getting pregnant. There were a few women, and they'd be getting pregnant, having a baby, and then they had like a system, right? Like a woman would give birth to a child, and another woman would get knocked up, and then the other women would like take care of them and raise them and teach them how to shoot and all that. That was the idea, right? There were a lot of really young kids, so they didn't really get very far. But apparently it was shut down, I think, by, like Homeland Security or something. But point is, I thought I couldn't have conceived that something so barbaric could be going on, and especially in this country, okay? But these were like Muslims, right, from like some third world country. I can't remember. I don't want to say, but they were definitely Islamic terrorists in the States having children specifically for that purpose. And then I said to Lindsay, I said, what are the odds that there are children being bred for, well, other uses specifically? What are the odds of that? And she said, that is like beyond the pale. And I said, well, wait a minute. If we don't value the lives of the unborn, it's not really that far of a stretch. And there are people who push for that, right? To devalue that. And then it's not that much of a stretch to have children specifically for like physical gratification, because and the fact that the stuff that Ballard was saying that he saw, I mean, it makes you question, like, how depraved human beings can be. But I'm like, it's possible. Am I wrong? But go ahead.
What's the sex trafficked equivalent of a child soldier?
Well,
because we're told about children that get abused in the system of Hollywood or whatever system they're shown to. But what happens when those children grow up? Mm-hmm. We don't hear about that. Like, generally, we don't care.
I mean, if you're willing to breed, if you're willing to breed people just to use them as disposable soldiers, right? Like you're not attaching yourself to them. And if women are willing to kill their babies after they're born because they don't want to deal with the inconvenience, which we've done countless stories on, how far of a stretch is it? Like, how much could a woman, like, if the price is right, how willing would she be to be like, well, I guess I'll have a baby for you to use in whatever way you want? I mean, it sounds really messed up. I have no doubt about it. But I don't think it's impossible.
People generally give a shit about child victims, and women victims. So when a child is a victim, we give a shit about them, and if they grow up to be a woman, we still give a shit about them. But if a male child is a victim of this kind of system, this trafficking system, the mass noncery system, while he's a boy, we give a shit about him.
Yeah.
But what happens if he grows up? And I don't mean he becomes Corey Feldman or kind of here's what happened to me. Whoops, I'm being silenced. I mean, what happens to the people who just go along with it?
Well, hurt people.
Yeah, that's what I mean. What is the equivalent of a child soldier in Coney's whatever African country it was? The Coney was. You remember the Coney thing?
Yeah.
What's the equivalent of someone who grows up in that Hollywood nonce system, grows up to be an adult?
Yep.
Doesn't ever acknowledge what happened to him or her, but I whatever, and just upholds the soldier code that was almost literally drilled into him. I mean, he becomes some kind of weaponized nonce, and it becomes second nature for him to hide his noncery, gaslight his noncery, while exacting his noncery on whatever he can do, or her noncery. I don't even know where the divide is here. I don't even know who's more dangerous, female Hollywood nonces or male Hollywood nonces. I don't know who's more psychopathic or who gets away with more. I just want to tear down this
Hollywood
noncery, and I don't know why anyone wouldn't.
Oh, absolutely. Like, they're not getting a cent of my money anymore. But anyway, like, I know that for some of you might see that as pretty extreme, but I think that if I can conceive of it, and then that means somebody else could have conceived of it and been depraved enough to actually try to get it done, and then there's probably women out there willing to do it, willing to breed babies for that use. So I know it's fucked up, no doubt about it, but I have a feeling that if I learned that was happening, it wouldn't surprise me. So
think of how much influence the church had over people in previous generations, and now think of how much influence TV has and movies have over this generation. It's at least equivalent to the influence the church had. Like, people cling religiously and pseudo-religiously, and have everything religious adjacent to what the TV tells them and to what movies tell them. They don't just turn up to the TV every Sunday. They turn up to the TV every day. They've been doing it for the 60 years of their boomer lives.
Yep.
And you're going to tell me this isn't a religion? Like, I don't know what a religion is, but if it's where you turn up somewhere once every Sunday to listen to some guy drone on about shit, then what the fuck is people listening to the television every fucking day for at least 4 hours a day while they chant this doomer apocalyptic nonsense at them? Like, this is more religious than any organized religion that's ever existed.
Yeah. All right. Let me finish the super chows because despite it's just you and me, we're actually talking a lot. But anyway, I thought that was important. I just wanted to get that out of there. So, let me see. Zapier says for $5. Thank you, Zapier. Gives credit to people who say apartheid Zionist Israel runs the U.S. government, media, and all Western entertainment. Harvey Weinstein, theaters, Epstein linked with Israel, blackmail billionaires, world leaders, and celebrities. Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's main link to Zionist Israel. Her father was an Israeli agent. Voyager shut it down. Talk about Zionism and we'll lock you out of your bank and all your money. Kanye West. Okay. I disavow. YouTube, please don't come after us for this. I'm just reading the super chows, guys. Okay, so thanks for that though. Thank you for the donation. I appreciate it, seriously. All right. Richard Bier again with another. Well, that's the wrong one, but I'll take it. Says for $5, these same journalists will praise those who will smuggle underage kids into jurisdictions that are sanctuary states for the gender-affirming care if the parents are opposed to it. Yes, of course. Again, if you're okay with those things, I think that it's not crazy to presume that these journalists don't really have a lot of care for human life, especially the lives of the young and the unborn. So, Barbieheimer was astroturfed, gives us $5, thank you, and says, I think Brian is probably right. I don't think the Barbie versus Oppenheimer meme never was funny enough to spread across the internet. Yes, that's right. It's not, right? It's not. I'm not sure if I went through a Mandela effect moment, but I think Barbieheimer started before Sound of Freedom's release, but the meme was co-opted by the propaganda machine. I think it came afterwards. No, it did, because Sound of Freedom came out July the 4th. Barbie came out 2 weeks ago. That would have been like mid-July, because we're in August now. So, I think it was like literally the week or 2 weeks after Sound of Freedom came out. And I think that because the simple like slander against the studio, against the film, against all of the things they can associate with the film, men, QAnon, dads, like they literally dads are in that category.
I think no matter what film was or set of films were competing with Sound of Freedom, the Hollywood mainstream legacy media would have gone along with it. If it was some live action version of fucking Tailspin or Darkwing Duck, they would have pushed that as a feminist iconic movie.
Oh, absolutely. Well, because it would have been Disney, so it would have been a feminist movie. So yeah, please don't do Darkwing Duck that way. Don't do it.
They'll never find Darkwing Duck. That's too obscure. That's just for us.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. Barbieheimer was AstroTurfs. And then Xerinx again for $5 says, I have a story idea that involves some vampires realizing it's easier to breed their slaves. I don't think it's a stretch that such a thing can happen for any use determined by those employing the program. Yeah, there's this movie that I saw that I like, actually. Oops, that's wrong. There's this movie that I saw called, what was it called? It was about vampires, and they run everything. And it's like Sam Neill and Ethan Hunt. You guys remember it? Dark Night Walkers or something Dark Walk? I don't know. But I have it on DVD. I just don't want to go look at the title. I watched it not long ago with Lindsay, and it was actually, we thought it was pretty good, but it also didn't make a lot of sense. Daybreakers, thank you. Yeah, so we thought it was kind of stupid because I was like, why would they go out and capture all the humans and then drink all of their blood when they could just breed humans and then drink their blood? That way they never run out. They have a supply that doesn't end. I thought it wasn't very well planned out, but I don't know, maybe things were moving too fast. But
they encountered the same problem as the thermodynamic concept of the Matrix, where you try to turn humans into batteries, but the energy you need to put into humans in order to get energy out has diminishing returns. You have, and I guess it's the same with vampires. I mean, you can suck their blood, but you have to put energy into those humans before you can get that energy out, and it all has diminishing returns. And for fuck's sake, study thermodynamics, you stupid cunts.
Well, again, if they can come up with that concept for a story, why couldn't they try to do it in real life? So, all right, thank you guys so much for the super chows. I'm just going to put a done in there so I don't get lost. And then I did get a Rumble rant too, so I also appreciate that. Nova Fan gives us $1 and says, isn't the media praising cuties for showing how young girls get exploited by the industry? If they call Sound of Freedom QAnon, then the idea that they want to exploit kids is making them look very sus. Definitely sus, my dude. But Cuties is good because it is. So
it empowers girls.
Yeah. Cuties is nonsense done right. All right, but anyway, thank you guys so much for the support and feedback. It's really, really cool. Let us know what you guys think about this in the comments. I look forward to seeing what you guys have to say. And I'm gonna be like, there's somebody ASB, I think they're always like putting in like the time codes. I love it. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it, because sometimes these shows go long and people don't want to watch it, and I think it's a shame. So, all right. Anyway, moving on to the next story. Last week, Anita Sarkeesian dropped a bombshell. Feminist Frequency is no more. After somewhere between 10 and 15 years, Anita is hanging up the flannel button-down and hoop earrings for good. When asked as to why by Polygon, Anita responded, quote, "I'm ending Feminist Frequency because I'm extremely burnt out. I can't vacation that off. I can't offload that anymore," end quote. Feminist Frequency and Anita will be fondly remembered for the time they neglected to pay her transgender cohorts, all while raking in thousands in Patreon bucks, the time she needed 25 grand to open a free Discord server, and the time she freaked out on Carl, Sargon of Akkad, Benjamin, at VidCon, we were there for that, calling the man all sorts of names like a garbage human, while he stayed totally silent. I can't help but wonder if any of her Kickstarter supporters ever got those DVDs that they were promised. So,
okay.
Go ahead.
So before anyone celebrates anything, let's be clear. This does not mean that Anita Sarkeesian is going to disappear from the limelight, or just take the money and run and go home and be a family man, as Guile would say. Oh, hell no. Not only is she already a sort of highly sought after consultant of some description for any game devs who are determined to pump up the ESG score, but she gets paid like $1 jillion just to turn up at somebody's private function and read a script for 5 minutes. She's never killing that cash cow. No. Sarkeesian is like the Gloria Steinem of the 21st century. She's going to carry on walking across those red carpets, having her ass kissed by powerful people and getting paid for having her ass kissed by powerful people. All along the while complaining about all the men who kept her down. Meanwhile, she's a millionaire. She became a millionaire by demonizing those hypothetical men, and she'll keep riding this wave until she's too old and too senile to even walk to and from the limousine. The death of Feminist Frequency, the entity known as Feminist Frequency, just means her team, the people she was paying to make her famous,
Or not paying,
because she's a non-profit organization. They no longer have jobs. That's about it. She used to have kind of what Twitter used to have, a team of spoiled it girls who got paid to drink Pinot Grigio and eat sushi all day. But it's no longer economically viable for Sarkeesian to pay other people to establish her brand, given that at this point she is the brand. Mm-hmm. No one remembers Feminist Frequency, but everyone remembers Anita Sarkeesian. All she needs at this point is an agent and a personal assistant, and she's good to go. Maybe she could employ the ex-boyfriend of her as a personal assistant. What's his name? I can't remember either.
Jonathan. I know it. Jonathan McIntosh, right?
Oh yeah, you remembered it. Well done, you. Yeah. I wonder what he's doing.
He's just as bad. He had like a channel called Pop Culture Detective. It was
it took off because YouTube wanted it to take off.
Yes.
They tried to make it take off, but it didn't. Despite all their efforts. But best of luck to him and best of luck to her. Honestly, if a grifter is a thing, and despite the cliche it has become, it is a thing, then Anita Sarkeesian is a grifter par excellence. She has every blessing from the Grifters Guild, if the Grifters Guild were to ever be a thing, because she has stuck to the principle. If you're gonna do it wrong, do it right.
Yeah.
She found a way to appeal to the lowest basest human instinct, gynocentrism. and she milked it for all it could possibly be worth. She's like a confectioner, like Ben and Jerry's. She knows people crave sugar. She knows that she's making people fat and unhealthy and addicted to her low quality product. But by golly, it's what she does. It's not illegal to do what she does, nor should it be illegal. If you want to get rich making people fat and stupid, then by Jupiter, you do it. It would just be nice if us folks in the periphery could go ahead and inform people that sugar in excess is perhaps not so good for you, and that we could do so without being called keto supremacists or some shit, and people being throttled and shadow banned from ever attempting to get this across. But hey, it's a dog-eat-dog world, and grifters gonna grift. So yes, it's a dog-eat-grifter-eat-dog world. It's like rock, paper, scissors, except it makes even less sense. But life making sense is like food making music. It's not even, and nor can I.
It's not just like not in the ballpark. It's not even the same sport. I have a couple things I wanted to say about this. So I'm glad that you said that, Mike, because I saw a lot of people on YouTube celebrating this. You know, oh, my feminism BTFO'd, it's over. Like we're never gonna hear from them again. Like all this stuff. Like you know, like they threw the ring into Mount Doom, and the Eye of Sauron collapsed, and everything is good in the world. Absolutely not. The only reason why Anita is closing it down is because she doesn't need it anymore. She basically used it to get her foot in the door in all of these doing consulting for video game companies. I've said this many times already. I'm just going to say it one more time on this show. I'll probably have to say it again in the future. Anita got what she wanted. She's working directly with developers. And by the way, it's not just her, because it's not that, you know, she's like she's not the Thanos that can do this. It's like a cult of feminists in all corners of our culture that are doing this, and they're just using the same, you know, talking points and rhetoric that she does. So it's like she could have a heart attack and die tomorrow. I wouldn't want that for her, but I'm saying it could happen. It wouldn't change anything. So the problem is the ideas, and this is the thing, you know, why for me anyway. I know people had different takes on Gamergate. My whole thing was, if you don't defeat feminism and all this like woke shit, it's gonna get worse. It's not about, like, you can't get the journalists to be like ethical if they have no interest in it because they're true believers. And I think that's the issue, right? So Anita's already worked with various larger companies. She's worked with Ubisoft. She's worked with the guys that developed I don't know, Dishonored. She worked on that, or Dishonored 2, I think, and a number of other games. Blizzard, you know, I remember Blizzard just had this whole firing thing where they claimed that there was all this sexual harassment going on, and a bunch of guys lost their jobs. Interesting that. And then Blizzard's games got extra woke. That's weird. It's kind of like what happened in the animation industry. So this isn't something that one woman did, and just because she closed on her little pet project and left the door, still crying victim, because she said, I'm ending Feminist Frequency because I'm extremely burnt out. I can't vacation that off. I can't offload that anymore. That is her just saying, I'm a victim of this, even though people stopped giving a shit about my content years ago. I think the last Thunderfoot video was like right before Brexit, and then Brexit happened, and he hasn't been able to. He just turned into Sam Harris. He was just like lost it, not responding to Anita anymore because, you know, England wants to be independent and Trump got elected and the climate and Elon Musk is evil and all of this other shit. So but Thunderfoot lost it. I wish that he'd made Feminist Frequency videos, although I do think that he's extremely repetitive. But whatever, it was good stuff while it lasted. But that doesn't change anything. So that was, I wanted to say that. I think that she got away with probably millions. I'm sure that she's absolutely loaded. She was charging a shit ton to make appearances and essentially regurgitate this BS. And the last thing is, the grifter thing, I want to say yeah, but I wonder if you're a true believer, like if you really believe this stuff, is it a grift? And I mean, you know, because I would think that a grifter is somebody who doesn't really believe what they're saying. but they know it works and it can get the money. Like if I decided tomorrow to make feminist content because I want to make money, I could do that, and I think that would be a grift because I'd be lying. I wouldn't believe it myself. But I think Anita believes it. I think she does.
You can kind of halfway believe what you say. I know we think of a belief as like either you believe something or you don't. But a half belief is something that you only believe because it's never been challenged, because you've never been cornered with that challenge.
Mm-hmm.
If you believe something and someone says, "Well, hey, that's not true," and you just go, "Well, this is hate speech. You're victimizing me, and you should be censored," and then you never actually hear that end of the argument.
Mm-hmm.
Then to what degree can you say you actually believe that thing? Because you kind of do, as long as it's never challenged. And a belief that you only believe as long as it's never challenged, is that really a belief? It's kind of this. It's this weird thing that's between a belief and not a belief. It's I don't know. Comment below what you think the word for that is.
It could be because, like, I have a relative that is a what do you call it? He can't stop lying, and he lies so often and so frequently that he believes his own lies. So it could be that. It could be like a pathology.
A pathological liar.
Yeah, pathological liar. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah. And I agree that Anita did lie about being a gamer, because then later she revealed she wasn't. But I think that in terms of like, I think that maybe what it is, I'm okay with calling her a grifter. I'm not like making this into a big thing, but
yeah, she believes her own lies, but that doesn't make her not a grifter.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
In fact, belief in your own lies is the most important strategy for a grifter.
Yes.
That's it.
I don't disagree. And I think that sorry, hold on a second. I gotta find something. I'm getting ready for the next story. I think that you can definitely like she believes in the theories that she puts out there, and then she wants that to be the conclusion, so she just makes whatever it is she's criticizing fit her conclusion. So that does require dishonesty. So yeah, I think that, and that's basically how most feminists work, right? So, and all this woke shit. That's how it works. So, thank you for that. Let me know what. So basically, what I'm saying is that feminism has not been defeated. Anita's like doing fine. She's probably very, very well off financially, and she can just keep on doing this. And she works in the gaming industry, so she's gonna have influence on it. And what I'm asking is, I know that people say, oh, Gamergate lost or whatever. It hasn't ended. It's ongoing. This is not one of those things that you can just crush with one argument or even like a series of arguments. It's an ongoing struggle, right? So
Gamergate lost. I'm gonna go right ahead and say it. It's 2023, and now we've got TERFs warring against intersectionalists.
Yeah.
You've got feminists who want to erase male identities, and you've got feminists who want to erase dicks. Like, in what world is this a victory for anything but feminism? This is when Islam invades and dominates the country, and then they start arguing about, do we do Sunni or Shia?
Yeah.
You can't sit here arguing what we do about feminism. It's fucking one, and now it's just a schismatic war between two different kinds of feminists.
That's true.
Don't tell me feminism hasn't won. That's exactly what happens when feminism wins.
Well, we are up against a monolith. And I think that even we have to they're basically two kaijus, the intersectionals and the TERFs. I don't like to say TERFs, just the regular feminists, I guess, and the intersectionals. It's like Godzilla versus King Kong. So we were always smaller. So, all right, but anyway, I think. Oh yeah. So anyway, she's not going anywhere, and that's it. So all you can do is look into, if you're looking to buy anything or give your hard-earned cash to anybody, you should probably know exactly what they stand for and make a decision based on that. And hopefully we will see alternatives, because there are more and more of those. We just talked about Angel Studios and other sort of like, people in the media space. So I don't know what else to do. I mean, like, we only have so much power, and that's, I think, what we should do. So hopefully they'll just eat each other, but I think that there will be a winner in that too at some point. All right, so let us know what you guys think about that in the comments. I do have more super chows. So yet another one from who's this? Richard Bier.
And his name is John C.
So Richard gives us $5 and says, do you really think that Anita is going to quietly fade away with just consulting work? I highly doubt that she is willing to let Laura Bates become the dominant voice of feminism without her putting her 2 cents in, because somehow there are many forms of misogyny that no single feminist can focus on. You're
going to be seeing her on television for the next 40 years. Like, whenever there's like a compilation show about the history of comedy or the history of TV or the history of especially video games, they're gonna get Sarkeesian to come along and say, well, here's how it was misogynistic, and here's how it's better since I took over and started changing things. And this, like I said, Gloria Steinem is still turning up in the legacy lamestream media and talking about how important it was that she imposed patriarchy theory on everyone, and people are still lapping it up. So nobody telling me that the same isn't going to happen with Anita Sarkeesian unless something very, very serious happens in the meantime, where we finally get over this shit.
Yep. Yeah, maybe Laura Bates and Anita Sarkeesian will do the fusion dance and become like Lorita Bates-Keesian. I don't know. All right, so thank you for that. And then we have one from Anonymous, and they say for $5, those human batteries must have been genetically modified humans, or the machine is feeding off the potential of humans' mental abilities, intelligence, and create things that can surpass nature. That's the lore I use to justify the Matrix's plot. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I used to think that it was really well made and smart and stuff, but now I question that. What happened to Wachowskis? Maybe they dug too greedily and too deep, and they awakened something in them. Shadow and flame. Anyway, let us know what you guys think about this in the comments. We're going to move on to the next story. This one is, these last two are not like as big. I think the first two are the really big ones, but kind of interesting. So ESRB, the Entertainment Software Ratings Board. They're the ones that put like on video games, they put like the age, rating on there, whether this is for a mature or for teens or for everyone, that kind of thing. I don't know that they have that in the UK. I think you guys have a different system. Like,
it turns up on YouTube every now and again. Mild lyrics is my favorite one. I used it for one of my videos. You can just have a sign that says mild lyrics, which apparently is a warning, as opposed to lyrics. Lyrics is not a warning, but mild lyrics.
Mild sauce, what it is.
Yes.
Yeah, so I know, because like some other countries use different rating systems, but this is basically like the rating system. So it's suggesting, blasting recent reports that suggest the organization is planning to use facial recognition technology on children, adding that it has no intention of using the technology to take or store selfies of its users. Yesterday, reports surfaced that the ESRB was partnering with Yoti, a digital identity firm, to use facial estimation technology to check the ages of users. The news quickly spread to multiple outlets, with some worrying that the facial age technology would be used to store photos of underage users. The source for this, by the way, is IGN, so take it with a grain of salt, because they're obviously going to put a little spin on it. I think that this is very fishy. That's why I'm reporting this, okay? So, however, in a heated statement sent to IGN, an ESRB spokesperson clarified that the technology is not intended to stop children from purchasing or downloading restricted games. Quote, first and foremost, this application is not to authorize the use of this technology with children, full stop, nor does this software take and store selfies of users or attempt to confirm the identity of users, end quote, the ESRB told IGN in an email. And they continue, quote, furthermore, this application makes no mention of using age estimation to prevent children from purchasing and or downloading restrictively rated video games, nor do we intend to recommend its use in that way, end quote. The application for approval the ESRB is referring to pertains to privacy-protective facial age estimation. This new verifiable parental consent mechanism uses facial age estimation technology that analyzes the geometry of a parent's face to confirm that they are an adult. Facial age estimation technology is used to estimate a person's age based on a selfie taken by the user, but it does not determine or learn the identity or name of that individual. It is not the same as a facial recognition system, which matches a human face using a digital image or a video still that it cross-checks with a database.
All right, so while you were talking, right, I came up with this brilliant idea. I've devised this system to prevent children from using harmful online or offline content. This is some blue sky thinking, though. You know that technology where you can recognize a child by their eyes and their facial structure and their voice and all that? Well, what if instead of installing that technology into the telephone, we install it into the parents? Now, I know this sounds like some crazy transhumanist, luxury, gay, communist, cyborg utopia shit, but I think not too far into the distant future, I think we can develop some kind of emergent technology that allows a parent, right, to recognize the distinguishing features of their own child and thereby instigate some kind of parental lock of some sort, whereby they can perhaps in some way prevent their child from even accessing a smartphone or mobile device in the first place. Now, I know, I realize that this just sounds like some kind of digital pie in the sky to those who aren't as forward-thinking as I am, but I really think I need a dev team of at least 30 people, some of whom will be unpaid interns, who can help me work on this project. Who's up for it? How do we get parents to, shall we say, adopt responsibility for that which we might otherwise be outsourcing to any given evil bastard who might be spywaring their way into your child's brain? Am I too far outside the box? Am I too far inside the box? Where even is the box? Really? Am I the box? Is God the box? Is the box the opposite of the box?
What's in the box?
What's in the box? If you pardon me, I think I'm having a sarcasm hernia. This actually hurts. It hurts my spleen, right where I think my spleen is. Erg.
Don't go down here, California. John Doe's got the upper hand. Yeah, I mean, it's funny that they had to do this kind of like damage control because, like, I don't know, I can see how parents of children would be concerned. But like, if you have a webcam, it's probably already looking at you. If you have a phone, it's already listening to you. Like, this is sort of like, you know, the problem already exists, and I understand there are parents, they want to protect their children, so there are parents, like more and more parents are not letting their kids have phones, because they don't want them even like on social media because it's so much of it is so easy to access, and they don't want them getting involved with that stuff before their time. It's probably a good idea, especially when it comes to things like TikTok and Instagram and Twitter or whatever. I think the kids are using TikTok now. I wouldn't do it. Like, there's a lot of creeps on there, and there's a lot of thottery that goes on TikTok as well. So, but yeah, nonetheless, we're already being monitored by our devices. So I can understand that the sort of futility of that, but at the same time, if you are a parent or a person, I know people like Dave Cullen, a good friend of mine. You might know his old channel, Computing Forever, or the Dave Cullen Show. He is like going super low tech. He's got like, which is ironic because his whole channel was about computers, but he's got a flip phone. He doesn't really do anything much except occasionally make a video. And even he's probably being monitored to some degree. But I can understand the concerns, and I think when the ESRB comes out and says, we're totally not doing that, I think that just makes it look really fishy. So yeah, like, just like, if you have kids, be careful, you know? We just talked about how the media reacted to Sound of Freedom, so maybe I'm a little bit biased by the work that I'm doing, but I wouldn't want my kids, like, faces all over the internet, so in some part of the dark web. All right, so that is that story. It was just a short one. Let me know what you guys think about this one in the comments. I do have some super chows again, I think. Did I read these already? No, I already read those. Sorry. Yeah, we're gonna move on to the next story. I don't know why it's still telling me that it's new, but it's not new. All right, so we're gonna get into the last story. Let us know what you think about this one in the comments. So, in July, a wrong command was made to a spacecraft that was sent to explore space. That was sent out in 1977. That was like the probe. I think it was let me see here. Yeah, Voyager 2. Okay, and they lost contact with it because of a command that it got. And this was shortly after what I think this is kind of funny. This woman was brought on as the head of the team. So Liz Fuller Wright, Office of Communications, the twin. So this probe was out 40 some odd years. I think is its mission, 46-year-old mission. NASA accidentally lost contact with the Voyager 2. A signal was picked up on Tuesday, but thanks to an interstellar shout, because it changed direction and they lost contact for a number of days, like 37 hours, it looks like, once they found it again. They sent out what's called an interstellar shout, and its antenna is now back facing Earth, which is how they're able to like send out signals to it. NASA had originally pinned hopes on the spacecraft resetting itself in October. It took 37 hours for mission controllers to figure out if the interstellar command had worked, as Voyager 2 is billions of miles away from Earth. Staff used the highest power transmitter to send a message to the spacecraft and timed it to be sent during the best conditions so the antenna lined up with the command. Voyager project manager Suzanne Dodd, pictured here, told the AFP. After communications were lost, the probe had been unable to receive commands or send back data to NASA's Deep Space Network, an array of giant radio antennas across the world. But the space agency confirmed on August the 4th that data had been received from the spacecraft and it was operating normally. NASA expects the spacecraft laden with science instruments to remain on its planned trajectory through the universe. So for a while, we lost contact with the Voyager 2. What were we going to say?
And tempting though it is to blame this on diversity bias, which I think is why it's turned up on our desk. This thing's 50 years old. They weren't even privy to a 386 processor. Mm-hmm. It can't even run Doom, and that is saying something, because pregnancy tests can run Doom, but Voyager 2 cannot run Doom. That's how old this technology is, and I won't even let you into how the Royal Air Force, some of its aircraft are still running on 386 processors.
maybe it didn't respond to her commands because it was probe-splaining to her about saying that, hey, I've been doing this for 46 years, I know what I'm doing. But yeah, no, it is. I mean, Allison gave us this story, and at the time that they thought we lost it, but it turns out that they did recover it like just like the other day, and so everything. I mean, I looked into it today, and I was like, oh, they got it back online. So it's good. It's good. But maybe we shouldn't just be celebrating like women in positions for the sake of it. So I'm just saying, you know, it's like this is the thing, like, because if you put all this focus on, oh, we got a woman on the job, people will they will put too much emphasis on that for good or ill, because they'll either go, oh, queen, you know, slay or whatever, instead of just saying, well, okay, fine, like, we don't have to make a big deal out of it. If she's qualified, she's qualified. So
and I just think we can't trust computer technology from 50 years ago.
Yeah,
it was all bullshit.
No, I agree. I agree.
I remember computer technology from 30 years ago, and Lord knows that was all bullshit. You all remember DOS? Can you all imagine running a fucking Voyager probe satellite thing on a computer from the early 90s?
Yeah.
And would you be in the least bit surprised that it got behind you, given that it takes 10 years to communicate with it? I mean, I'm trying to work out the speed of light versus where Voyager is, because it's beyond Pluto at this point, right?
Is it? I don't know.
I think so.
That's a lot of nothing.
This is Voyager 2, so I guess maybe not. Maybe it's halfway through the solar system at this point.
So,
but yeah, this is I don't know if you call it a paradox, but anything we send out of the solar system is going to have the available technology of the time, and so it's going to be traveling so slowly that the advancement of our technology will outpace the speed of the last thing we sent out.
Mm-hmm.
So if there is a Voyager 3, then it will overtake Voyager 2 almost as soon as it overtakes Voyager 1. And I think Voyager 1 is the one that is trans-Pluto at this point. And this is why I call it a paradox, even though I'm not sure it's the right word. Every time we invent new technology, it will be able to outpace the previous technology.
Yeah.
Which makes all the previous technology redundant.
Yeah.
Which makes you wonder why we're doing anything in the first place. Because the next thing we develop will do a better job than the previous thing, and we'll never even get information back from the previous technology because of the speed of light in time for it to even inform what we should do with the next wave of technology. So it all does seem kind of pointless, and I would like Elon Musk. I would like Elon Musk to explain to us why we're even doing any of this.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean,
I would like NASA to explain it. I mean, I'm not putting all of this on Elon Musk's shoulders. I want to know what NASA's even been doing this whole time.
Yeah, really. Oh, okay. So yeah, let us know what you guys think about that in the comments. Out of curiosity, so that's it for us. But I did get a couple super chows, and there's one apparently that I didn't read. I thought I did, but I'm sorry. I will read them all now. So first, I'll read the one that I skipped. Sadly, my mistake. From He's John Cena by Richard Bier.
And his name is John Cena!
Okay, and he gives us $5 and says, do you really think that Anita is going to quietly fade away with just consulting work? I highly doubt that she's willing to let Laura Bates become the dominant voice. I thought I read this one.
Yeah, you did read that one.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, because somebody said they sent me a super chow and that it was about Anita, and I thought it was that one. But I feel like I did read that one. Did I miss another one then? No, I think I read these. So I'm going to go on to the next one, but thank you, Richard. I apologize. Maybe you missed it when I read it. Okay. Then another from Richard Bier, again, for $5.
John Cena!
And he says, YOTI, your online trusted ID, requires the creator of an account to take a picture of a government-issued photo ID on both sides, so they will have the barcode on file. They claim to only release relevant information to a requester of identification information. Your online trusted ID. Well, that sounds sketchy to me, but okay. And then I got a $5 super chow from Anonymous. They say, I did send a super chow, but you didn't read it. It was about Anita. I think that is the one I read. I don't see something else here unless, for whatever reason, it didn't come in to our super chow list here. So apologize for that, but that's all those. And then I got a Rumble rant from Oikinwowi. I'm never going to pronounce that right, I don't think. And they give us $1 and they say, if you control the technology, it's a tool for your benefit. If someone else controls the technology, it's a tool to someone else to control you. Thank you for that. Really appreciate it, guys. You guys are awesome. Nice on all of the donations. I'm sure Allison will make good use of that stuff. And now we are done. So, Mike, we did well. We're at 7. We're right there on the money. So we're gonna head into the patron show, and we're going to be looking at this article from Screen Rant. The Barbie movie's biggest backlash misses what the film was really trying to say. I can't wait to get enlightened about this. So if you guys want to join us in the after show, you have to become a Badger yourself by going to feedthebadger.com. $5 a month will get you into our Discord, and you'll be able to watch all of the after show content. And if you give it higher levels, you have more access. Like, you'll be able to participate in the discussions like that we're gonna do after this. You can be in the chat with us in the Discord chat, and then where you can give us your 2 cents and school us on all things, everything. So please consider doing that at feedthebadger.com. And also follow all of our alternate channels. We're on Twitch, HB Radio. We're on Rumble, HB Radio. We're on Twitter. It's at Honey Badger Bite. I'm on Twitter now. It's called Badger Arcade. It's just my Twitter for now while I'm waiting for my original one to come back, which is Doge in Charge. I don't know when that's going to happen, but I got a guy that has the inside mojo and has like the ear. He says he has the ear of Elon Musk. I'll believe it when I see it. It sounds a little bit too good to be true, but I don't know, man. It's possible. He's got connections, so. And follow all of our alternate YouTube channels. We have Honey Badger Radio, which is our main channel, and we have Honey Badger Arcade, which is the gaming channel. So please check us out there. Go to Dr. Randomercam's channel as well. It's still Dr. Randomercam, right?
Yes. But okay. if you go there, come back here, because that's where I am. Yeah.
But you can check it out. There's like music videos and stuff. It's fun. It should be a much bigger channel, is what I'm saying. It was at first. It was growing pretty good, but that was years ago. So sad. All right. So anyway, we're gonna head out now. Thanks so much for joining us on this week's HBR News. If you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment, let us know what you guys think about what we discussed in the show today, and please share this video because sharing is caring. Thanks so much for coming on today's episode of HBR News, and we will talk to you all in the next video.
Men's rights activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.